Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of UHS Presents. Tonight, we're doing Critical Affection. Let's crap on a movie we love. Joining me tonight is my critically affectionate cohort, Julie McCusa. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
Hey, we already got people talking on here. Legend Storm TV on Twitch. And Astayan. I said it right this time, right, Steve? Everybody saying hi. So hi, thank you for joining us. Tonight, you might have noticed we're doing Hocus Pocus. One of my favorites. I love this movie. I love it so much. So let's get to it. But before we get to it, we should probably go through a very quick UHS news review. I don't have a lot for you today because I forgot to ask Lori what all she wanted me to talk about until like 10 minutes ago. So what I do know is that pretty much everybody, I think most of the rewards for the surgeon have been shipped out now. So if you don't have them, then have your stuff, then you just wait longer, I guess. I don't know. Drop us a note. That's what you do. Just send us a message on Facebook. Well, not Facebook right now because it's busted, but email. Email usually works, right? I think our email works anyway. So let's do that. The Art of Ian Richardson. The pledges are in. I think all that is settled up. So watch your email for updates on that if you backed. Legend Storm says, I got my leather bound elsewhere in my surgeon packets. I am so jealous that you get the leather bound one. I never can get the damn leather bounds. They're just a little bit too much, and I'm always like, ugh. But they're so cool. Oh, I've seen them. I've seen pictures. They're so pretty. And they're probably fun to touch too. Okay. Don't forget also that we do have a new title coming up soon. Actually, I think that our next week, one of our next upcoming episodes here is gonna be about Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie, and I'm gonna give away like a avocado sticker or something to anybody who can say that 5 times fast, like Miss Medusa's Menagerie 5 times fast, and then I will send you a free sticker, or even an avocado pin. Like that costs more to send, but like I will do it if you can say it 5 times fast. You got to record yourself doing it. I need proof, but I will send you avocado stuff, and I've got other stuff. I just like the avocado's the only one I remember. I think I would remember more of my merch, but I don't. So, yeah, like us on Facebook. Not right now, of course, because it's busted. Instagram is also busted, but when it's fixed, then, like us there too. Twitter, what else?
I think it's just Facebook right now still, maybe Twitter. Instagram I was able to get on a few minutes ago.
That's weird. I know the Facebook company, like they own Instagram and they own a bunch of stuff now, because and somebody said TikTok was down, and I was like, what? TikTok doesn't have anything. So I wondered if it was one of those big cloud things that happened. Remember when that I can't remember the name of the company, but like it took down the entire freaking internet because one of the cloud services went down, and oh my gosh, it was so big. It was wild. So anyway, let's see. I'm looking. Yes, keep up to date on your UH Studios news by going to @UH Studios on the Facebook, the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. Wait, not Instagram. Instagram is UH Studios official, because we are trying to get that name and we can't yet. So, and we also have a group on Facebook. If you can ever get back to it, it's Unlikely Heroes Studios presents awesome comics and other cool shit too. That's the name of it. And we also have a Discord. If y'all didn't know that, go join the Discord. In this time of Facebook outage, it's really important to stay connected. And you can go stay connected to UHS by going to our Discord channel, which is also UH Studios. But we actually have a link to the Discord. My God, my brain is not working. It never works this time of night. I should just sleep during the day, and then this in the mid-morning is my best time, and if I just do that and then make this my mid-morning, I would be at the top of my game. So anyway, Yeah, Discord. If you go to uhstudios.com/Discord, there's a link to get you in there. So I think it's still active. If it's not, somebody tell me and we'll fix that. So I think we're good now.
I think so.
All right, let's do this. It should go without saying, but if you haven't seen Hocus Pocus, and it has been like 30 years now, so you really should have. So this is on you if you haven't, and you're hanging out with us tonight, then that's right, spoilers. We're going to be talking about shit. So now that we have that out of the way, let's get to this. Hocus Pocus premiered in U.S. theaters on July 16th, 1993. Currently has a 38% critical rating and a 71% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, which, what the fuck, critics? 38%? This is so much better than 38%.
I thought it went up actually recently, but I guess not. But I figured the audience score would be about a C plus B minus average. That sounds right to me.
Yeah, I figured that we were looking at 70 to 80% audience, but I thought at least a 50 for the critical score.
No, this movie bombed when it came out. It totally bombed.
It has quite the cult following now, but it did not do well when it first came out, which is weird. So weird. Also, I was looking, so I checked this like an hour and a half ago, so I know that this is like the most up to date. But like, it was weird because I saw a bunch of really positive critical comments. You know, they list a bunch of the comments right below the score, and the critics were like, "Oh, it's fun, but it doesn't make any sense. But you can't. It's irresistible." Like, so if it doesn't make any sense, but it's irresistible, then why don't you give it a higher score?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't listen to the critics half the time anyway, so.
I usually don't. Like, if the critics say it's a bad movie, that's usually like, I might go see that one, actually. Like, I mean, now you got your Marvel movies and stuff where you're just like, it's an automatic, yes, I'm going, or no, I'm not going. But with the ones that I'm not sure about, if the critics bomb it, then I'm like, that's probably a good one.
Yeah.
Fucking critics, man, I tell you. Let's see, this film. I was trying to move my mouse to make the iPad light back up. See? My brain doesn't work. Actually, that's something I would do no matter what, so never mind. All right, the film stars Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy. Najimy? Is that how you say it? Najimy?
I think so.
You guys know who I'm talking about, right? Winifred, Sarah, and Mary Sanderson, respectively. Omri Katz is Max. Thora Birch, very young Thora Birch, is Danny. Vanessa Shaw is Allison, and Sean Murray is Binks, except for Sean Murray's voice, which is... They thought Sean Murray had picked up an Australian accent. He's American, but he lived in Australia, and he picked up an Australian accent, but they thought he wasn't old worldy sounding enough, so they had him dubbed over.
Yes.
All right, whatever. But like, Sean Murray is the dude that plays McGee in NCIS, which I have a weird obsession with, even though it's a trash show. It's like such a garbage show, but I love it. And he's like, I can't get over, like, he's got like a really large lower lip and almost no upper lip, so he's always like... God. Next time you see NCIS, you're gonna see it and you're never gonna be able to unsee it.
God.
So, interesting trivia. The animatronic cat for Binks, they used that cat later, a couple years later, to bring...
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Sarah Jessica Parker, couple of Sarah Jessica Parker things here. She was researching her family, and she learned that her 10th great-grandmother was actually arrested for witchcraft in Salem in the late 1600s because she choked a neighbor to death. And I'm like, what the hell did that neighbor do to deserve that? I want to know.
Oh my God, I heard that story before. That is like, okay, not that... I don't know the story, obviously, but how fucking cool is that, though? I'd be freaking out.
Should I be like horrified by that? Because I was like, no, man, that's fucking cool. Your great grandma.
No,
was awesome.
Oh God,
How bad is she that she fucking choked somebody to death? You know how much hand strength that takes? Like you see on TV when people strangle somebody on a murder show and like they squeeze for like 30 seconds and then the person's dead. Like that's not how long it takes to choke somebody to death. I listen to true crime podcasts. I know it takes like 4 or 5 minutes to kill somebody with strangulation. Your hands are gonna get tired. You need a tool or something. You can't just choke them with your hands. But this chick choked there. I just seriously want to know what they did to deserve to be choked to death. A scion. Witchcraft? No, I just use my hands and yes, exactly. It doesn't require witchcraft. Like being super fucking pissed off is not magic.
I don't know. Back then, maybe like the bitch stole her chickens or something. I don't know.
Something. I mean, what if it was a dude and like he tried to assault her and she's like, "Not today, motherfucker."
That's true.
Badass if that's what happened.
Yep.
Okay. We can't stay on Sarah Jessica Parker's awesome grandparents forever. We have to move on. She also said in an interview later that she actually ate the spider. That she eats.
Really?
Yeah, apparently she actually ate it. And I don't know if it was a real spider, but like I was like, wouldn't they have just given her like a candy spider or something that way she could actually eat? And
yeah.
But was it a real spider? Because why? I mean, not bad or good. Like, okay, if you ate the spider, I mean, you suffer for your craft or whatever, but why? Whatevs. Let's see. Bette Midler said this was her very favorite film of all the films she's done. This was her favorite, which was cool. Let's see. The animatronic cat. No, I read that one already. There's a sequel for Hocus Pocus. It's in development for 2022. And I guess the original Sanderson sisters, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, are all signed on. So, and it would be cool if they had the kids, Allison and Max and Danny, if they had all them reprise their roles as well. And it could be like with their kids or something.
Yeah, that's what I always imagined it would be. Like that's the easiest thing to do is just continue, that story and just do it. It would be
perfect because then, the Sandersons come back and they've got a vendetta against Allison and Max for fucking up their last resurrection. And there is actually a sequel to Hocus Pocus, but it's a book, and it actually is. I think it's actually Allison and Max got married and had a daughter, and the daughter gets a crush on another girl, and they together accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters and then have to fight them off. So maybe that's going to be the sequel.
Okay.
We can hope. Because it sounds like I only got to read a synopsis of it. I have not yet taken the time. I want to find the book and hopefully get it from the library or something.
Yeah.
But somebody keeps messaging me. Oh, it's not even important. It's like my phone keeps lighting up and it's driving me nuts. Okay. That's what I have written down for all this trivia here.
Cool.
Okay. Synopsis. Here's the part you get to laugh at me for. Actually, let me catch up. Thank you, Andrew, for putting the Discord link in there. That is always like I think that the uhstudios.com/Discord does work, but yeah, that one is absolutely sure to get you there. Excuse me, I burped. I've got cider today, guys. Like I'm for the first time ever using a clear cup on here so that you can see what I'm drinking, and it's a non-alcoholic cider.
Yeah, I'm boring. I have water, so.
Well, I would give you some cider, but you're too damn far away. I could try go out onto the patio and like chuck it really hard, but I don't think it'll make it.
Anyway.
A scion. My mom thought this movie was too scary, and I almost didn't get to see it when it came out on VHS. What? My mom's so weird. Like back in the 80s and 90s, you remember all that witchcraft and Satan worshiping bullshit? Like every murder was a Satan worshiping thing, and
yes.
Like, no, that's not what really happened. And I was like, if this is something that kids are doing, I don't know any of these kids. Nobody did anything that fun in my school.
Nah.
Pokemon were satanic. Yes, I remember Pokemon were like Wiccan shit too. Harry Potter was when it came out.
Yeah,
Twilight, oh God.
I mean, some of them even thought Pogs were evil too and banned them because it was like a gateway.
Like
Yeah.
Tamagotchis and stuff like that. Everything is something, right? Like, come on. How can, just because it's new doesn't mean that it's evil? Jesus.
Exactly.
And me, I'm sitting here going like, yeah, it's new. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I don't have kids. Like, would I become paranoid like that if I had kids? Maybe. That's why I'm not having kids. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be like that. Much responsibility for me.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Let me wet my whistle. All right, let's do this synopsis bullshit. Okay, everybody, get ready to laugh at me. On October 31st, 1693, in Salem, Massachusetts, Thackeray Binks witnesses his little sister Emily being taken to the woods by three sisters named Winifred, Sarah, and Mary Sanderson. At their cottage, these witches cast a spell on Emily to absorb her youth and regain their own, which kills her in the process. Thackeray is such a stupid name. It's not even a real name. I Googled it. It's not a real thing. Like, nobody in the 1600s was named Thackeray. It's like yeah, it's like somebody with a lisp trying to say Zachary.
Yes.
Anyway, Thackeray confronts the witches, but is transformed into a black cat and cursed to live forever with his guilt for not saving Emily. Suddenly, the townsfolk, led by Thackeray's friend Elijah and his father, arrest the sisters and sentence them to be hanged for the murder of Thackeray and Emily. Before their execution, Winifred casts a spell that will resurrect the sisters during a full moon on All Hallows Eve when a virgin lights the black flame candle. Thackeray decides his parents kind of dismiss the weird black cat that wants to go home with them. So Thackeray decides to guard the cottage to make sure no one ever summons the witches. 300 years later, on October 31st, 1993, Max Dennison is sullen because of his family's sudden move from Los Angeles, California to Salem, which, why would anybody do, like, what the hell, what could possibly have happened to cause that to be a thing that would happen? Like, that's a weird move. Anyway, on Halloween, Max takes his younger sister Danny out trick-or-treating where they Allison. In an effort to oppress Allison, Max invites her to show him the Sanderson house to convince him that witches are real. Inside the Sandersons' cottage, which is now a museum, a former museum, it's not a museum, Max lights the black flame candle and inadvertently resurrects the witches. The witches attempt to eat Danny, but Max and Allison come to her rescue. Binks reveals himself to Max and tells him to take Winifred's grimoire. That's such a fun word. Grimoire. It's the book with the eyeball. Is the grimoire. He takes the group to an old cemetery because witches can't step foot on hallowed ground, and he shows them the graves of his sister and Billy Butcherson, who was Winifred's lover until she caught him with Sarah, so she poisoned him and sewed his mouth shut. And I feel like he probably shouldn't have been punished that harshly without Sarah getting some punishment too, but whatever. I gotta stop talking about this stuff in the middle of the synopsis because this is the shit we're gonna talk about after, you know? The witches eventually catch up with them, and Winifred raises Billy Butcherson as a zombie to catch them on foot because they can't step foot in the cemetery. The witches are horrified to discover that Halloween has become a festival of disguises. Winifred reveals that the spell that brought them back only works on Halloween. Unless they can suck the life out of a child, they'll turn to dust when the sun rises. I had to burp again. Max, Danny, and Allison find their parents at the City Hall Halloween party. Max and Danny's parents, because Allison's hoity-toity parents were having their own party with, like, powdered wigs and shit. But the witches chase them there, and they enchant the partygoers to dance until they die. At Jacob Bailey High School, yeah, I took the Wikipedia thing, and, like, Jacob Bailey High School, who the fuck cares about what the name of the school is? At the high school, the children trap the witches into a kiln and burn them alive. While the children are celebrating the death of the witches, not realizing that the witches are not dead, Max and Allison open the spell book to try to find a spell to reverse the curse on Binks, and that reveals their location to the sisters. They come and kidnap Binks and Danny, and they recover the spell book. Sarah sings her children catching song
Yes.
to lure Salem's kids to the Sanderson cottage. And Max and Allison free Danny and Binks by tricking the witches into believing it's sunrise. Then they think that they're dead, but they panic and pass out, and Danny and Max and Allison and Binks run away. They run back to the cemetery, and they are confronted by Billy Butcherson, the zombie. Turns out he only wanted to borrow Max's knife to cut the stitches open on his mouth so that he could insult Winifred. He joins the kids and Binks against the witches and puts Danny into his grave to keep her safe. Yikes. The witches attack, and Winifred attempts to use the last vial of the potion because Max had pushed over, just like in the beginning when Thackeray pushed over the big old cauldron of potion. Max also did the same, and so there was only enough for one child, and she attempts to use that to suck the life from Danny. Binks leaps on Winifred and knocks the potion out of her hand, and he is thrown into his sister's headstone, which mortally wounds him. Max drinks the potion, which forces the witches to take him instead of Danny. The sun starts to rise just as Winifred is about to... And Allison, Danny, and Billy fend off Mary and Sarah, and Max and Winifred fall into the cemetery onto the ground, which causes Winifred to turn to stone because she's on hallowed ground. And as the sun starts to rise above the horizon, Mary and Sarah are disintegrated in the light into dust, and Winifred's stone body kind of explodes, doesn't it? Kind of like, and like glitter and shit. I don't know. It's weird. It's unclear. It's unclear, but she disintegrates. She turns to dust and glitter. I love the 80s and 90s movies and all the fucking glitter. So, anyways, with the witches gone, Max, Danny, and Allison say goodbye to Billy, and he climbs back into his grave. And Binks, finally, they go find him, and he dies, but that frees his soul. So he reappears for a moment as a spirit and thanks the group for their help and says goodbye to them, and he's reunited with the spirit of his little sister. Some credits roll for a minute, and then we see the party that Max and Danny's parents were at. They are finally exiting at dawn and just completely oblivious to the fact that they were under a spell, talking about how amazing the party was. And the costumes, man. We're gonna talk about those. Meanwhile, at the Sanderson cottage, which I forgot to mention, Ice and Jay, the bullies.
Yes.
Bullies that accost Max in the beginning, and then they irritate him in the middle, and then they call the witches ugly, and then the witches are like, "You don't call us ugly," and they put them in those like giant bird cages at the cottage. And so then we see them just still hanging out in it's like nobody cares, and they're singing "Row, row, row your boat" in rounds to kill the time, I guess.
Yeah.
And then right before the end, we see Winnie's spell book open its eye, and like foreshadowing, like, ooh, there could be a sequel. You don't know, because that book is cool, right?
Yeah.
So, I think I got it all. Oh, hi, Jack. Okay. All right. What do you want? He's not a black cat, but he's close. He's dark.
Oh, yeah.
But he's also very clumsy. Why just do cat stuff? Sit down. All right.
All right.
So that is the synopsis, which wasn't very good, but I also didn't fuck it up as much as usual.
You didn't. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, all right. No, you are way too large. I'm sorry, but you have to go. You beg and you won't sit down, and so that's why you can't stay. Okay. So, as I mentioned before, Thackeray, not a common name. I don't think it's a name at all. Like, the only thing that I got when I Googled was Hocus Pocus. So where the hell did they get Thackeray, and why? It doesn't even matter what his name is. Like, his name could have been Jonathan or William, or, there were so many very common names. George.
No, I didn't even know it was Thackeray until I rewatched it again, in my teens. I always thought they were saying Zachary when I was little.
Same.
I don't know. It's stupid. I guess they thought it sounded more old. I don't know.
Oldie
I don't,
timey.
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's
Weird.
it's just
Yeah.
stupid.
It was a weird choice. It doesn't make sense. I assume because he has gone on to the afterlife that he will not be appearing in
Right.
the sequel.
But yeah, who knows?
I mean, we could see him if they, because I mean, she resurrected Billy Butcherson, so by rights she could resurrect Binks too, right?
I think so. And
I mean,
can
honestly, what?
I was gonna say, Billy was like my first zombie crush. Like I was in love with him when I was little. I thought he was so cute.
Yes, he was so fun, and like he was a good guy too. He was a zombie, but he was a good guy.
Yeah, I thought he was so cool. And
Yeah,
like
and
that was my first introduction to Doug Jones too. Kind of realizing that as an adult. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God, Doug Jones, and he's in like every movie that you have ever seen that has some cool costumed guy in it. That's like a some kind of monster. Like he's I know he's the Abraham Sapien in Hellboy. He's the fish in The Shape of Water.
Yeah. He was in
he's-
Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, he's done so many things, but it's crazy because I like didn't really, when I'm young, I don't know who the fuck I'm looking at. But now watching it as an adult and appreciating it, I think that was maybe one of his first major roles too. I'd have to look that up, but
yeah, we should.
Anyway, but Billy was hot. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. It was like, and then you look at Doug Jones. It's like, yeah, he's nice looking and everything, but he's not like one of those guys that you look at immediately and go, damn, he's hot. Like he's a regular looking guy, I guess. So they make him look so cool, and he's got like he's like one of those, dare I say it, Ted Bundy types, where he can blend, and he always kind of looks a little different. Like I hate to liken it to Ted Bundy because Doug Jones is not a Ted Bundy, but like that do you know what I'm talking about? That effect where he could always kind of look a little different, and so like he just kind of blended, and people didn't remember him because he blended, and that's why he can get away with being in movies so much. Like he's not, and that get away with being in movies, and nobody even knows who he is. Like people don't know who Doug Jones is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's wild. Like he's I know in Hellboy, Niles from Frasier, he did the voice.
Yes.
What the fuck is his name? It's David.
Yeah,
something.
I forget too.
Yeah, he got to he refused to take credits for that movie because he was like, Doug Jones is doing all the heavy lifting. Why should I get the credit for it? So he gave the full credit. He's not credited in that movie at all, even though like he's got a pretty fucking recognizable voice, so we know that it's him, but it's Niles from Frasier.
Yeah.
So, in the beginning, when Thackeray is trying to save Emily, he is running across the ground in bare feet. I don't know if anybody noticed that. Like, they kind of zoom in on his feet a little bit when he's climbing up the water mill thingy, the water turny thingy.
Yeah.
God. Oh, my brains.
I don't know. I just call it a mill.
It's a mill, yeah. The water turny bit of the windmill, of the mill.
Wheel.
Mill. Yeah. The water wheel? Probably called water wheel, isn't it?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Y'all know what I was like. They zoom in on his feet at one point. And I'm thinking that would be the one point where you shouldn't zoom in on his feet, because those windmill blades would be the water wheel blades would be like super slimy with algae and shit, and there's no way he could climb it so easily. Anyway, he's running across the ground in bare feet, and I listened to a podcast that also I saw that they had done Hocus Pocus, and so I was like, yeah, I gotta do that. I'm not gonna name them there because their podcast like sucks. I'm not saying ours is good. I'm just saying that theirs is bad. They drive me nuts, and I listened to it, and I was like, this is bad, but maybe not all of them are bad. So I went on and tried to listen to another one, and nope, they're bad. Their sound mixing is bad too. Like we were talking about our sound mixing last weekend and how we wanted it to be good, because that's like the number one thing that turns me off when I listen to a new podcast is if you got bad sound.
Yes.
We're like discussing how to make our sound better, and yeah, bad sound. Like it's a man and a woman, and the man's got kind of a medium, like a tenor voice, and then the woman's got kind of a squeaky voice, and they had the treble turned way the fuck up on there because it was like needles into my ear holes every time she talked. So I turned the bass way down so that it made her less obnoxious.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was I saying about that? Oh yeah, they were freaking out. Like they spent so long on the bare feet thing. Like, oh my God, how could they do that to him? I was like, I grew up on a farm, and we had there were no paved roads for probably 25 years. Like the first 25 years of my life, my parents lived on a gravel road. My family, my grandma, my family has a series of farms, and they're all connected by 2 main roads. I think there's 2 roads that get you to most of them. And yeah, so they were all gravel, and it was not like nice, like finely milled gravel. It was big ass rocks, like big chunks of gravel. And I remember we would run across that all the time, and I was like, so what's the big deal? Like, but I was like, then I realized that the people in that podcast were like from New York City. They were born and raised in New York City. I was like,
just gonna say that.
That's why you think that's crazy, is because you didn't grow up in the country.
Yeah.
And actually wearing no shoes in New York City probably catches some kind of disease, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would not recommend that. So,
unfortunately, you don't know what you're missing because you get really strong, like soles of your feet. Like to this day, I can last, even though I haven't gone barefoot in years and years and years. I can still, like, the bottoms of my feet are like leather. It's you never know when that shit's gonna come in handy. I'm just saying.
True.
So when they get to Thackeray gets in there and he makes his presence known to the Sandersons, he pushes over their big cauldron of baby stealing potion, and why didn't they knock him down? Like she shocked him, and like why didn't they feed him some of that potion and take his life force and be done with it? Why'd they turn him into a cat? I mean, I know they turned him into a cat after all the potion was gone, but like they had the opportunity to stop him and they didn't.
No. Is he too old? Like, is his...
He's not, because Mary, the one with the super smeller, she kept saying, I smell children, I smell children, I smell a boy. And so she wouldn't have been able to smell him if he was too old, right?
Yes, that logic. Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, like, why just children? Why can't they take the life force of adults too? I mean, is it because they're too old and that their life force would be old and make them older?
It wouldn't. Yeah, my assumption is it wouldn't do anything for them. I mean, adults are boring, first of all, but secondly, it's they need young life force to I guess de-age them as much as possible.
Any life force should have been good enough, though, right? Like any life force at the time. I mean, that's later on in the movie, but whatever.
Well, that's always in like mythology anyway. Like the old witches eating the children, and they need children, and the sacrifice a virgin, and blah blah blah. Like, the evil people always have to take something that's innocent, basically, and that's the most powerful thing. So I don't know.
Ooh, Steve, you wouldn't eat a burger that sat out on the counter for too long. Are you comparing me to a burger that's been sitting out on the counter for too long? Oh. That was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, you saying that I'm too old for Winifred Sanderson to suck my life force? Is that what that is?
I think we all are at this point. Once you, once you hit 30, it's all downhill from there. We all know that.
Yeah, 30 was like the most build up to a birthday that had the biggest letdown ever. Like my 30th birthday, and it was my golden birthday too. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I'm gonna drink all the. What did I? Oh, I drank a whole bottle of the fucking shit, the stuff that's made of milk, but it's booze, and you take shots of it. But I drank the whole bottle. That's why I don't drink anymore.
Oh Jesus!
Oh fuck! Okay, I gotta Google it now. I'm not gonna Google anything else. Horchata. Rum chata. I remember it.
Yes. Oh
Horchata
my
is the
god.
name of the non boozy stuff, and then they added rum
Yes.
to it and it became rum chata. Turns out that shit is excellent if you mix it, get it cold, and then mix it with cold root beer. It's like root beer flavor. It's so good.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yes, Bailey's is also very good. I made I'm not gonna lie, Jeffrey and I did. We had poured bowls of Lucky Charms, and then instead of using milk, we used Bailey's.
Oh my god. Do you need
It was so good. Oh, this is why I don't drink anymore, because I can't handle it. I do stupid shit. That's why I can't handle it.
I just can't handle it anymore because I feel like shit after one beer now. I feel like I drank 20 when I got up in the morning now. My body can't do it anymore.
Yep, that's mostly why I was like, I'll have a glass of wine maybe, or a bottle of whatever. I'm not a big beer fan. Like, I do like Liney's Berry Vice, but other than that, I'm not a booze person. Like, but I'll have a drink, and then I'm okay. But even then, like, I'll wake up with a headache in the morning. Like, it's like, just like you said, I cannot handle it anymore. I just can't handle it.
Sucks. I'd love to be a witch and, suck some putrid little brat's life force and be young again and be able to have an
Only
all-nighter.
The shitty kids. If the good kids will leave them alone, but the shitty kids, like the asshole kids.
Exactly. I don't think that would be a problem. Instead of throwing them in jail or, whatever, just suck their life force and the world would be a better place.
And like one kid clearly lasts them a good long time, so it's not like you need to do it very often.
That's an excellent point. Exactly.
I mean, that was one kid shared between three of them, and they managed to resurrect in exactly the same shape 300 years later. So that like one kid lasts them a long time.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good odds. I mean, let's do it. I always wanted to be a witch. Let's just.
I mean, I'm down with being a witch. I mean, some people would already suggest that maybe I am.
So here's my oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go on. I was just gonna go on to the next point on my list.
So, okay, here's my only criticism that I have about the movie.
The whole movie?
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
And it's more like it's kind of a criticism towards like Hollywood in general, but so just personally, Mary is my favorite witch. I relate to her the most. She's funny. She goes crazy with the TV. She's eating snacks. I'm like, that's me. Girl, come on, let's go hang out.
God, I love when she saw the baby commercial and she's like, I love that part.
But here's my problem though, is why in these movies is it always the fat chick that has to be the comic relief? It's still even today. Yes, it's still an issue. I mean, even in like Bridesmaids, that wasn't that long ago, and
the new Ghostbusters had the same lady. It was the same chick, wasn't it? Melissa McCarthy. Yeah,
Melissa McCarthy. Yeah. And honestly, Melissa McCarthy was the funniest part, in my opinion, in the Bridesmaid movie. I only laughed at her shit. I think she's a funny chick, but to it's like Hollywood has the facade of we're body positive, go women, any size is beautiful. But at the same time they're still like just regurgitating these old stereotypes and just doing the same thing over and over. So it's it's annoying. Like, the fat funny chick, she can never be sexy. And if you have a movie that is supposedly body positive and there is a plus size woman in the lead role, at some point they're going to somebody in the movie is going to point out her weight. And even if it's supposed to be a positive thing, like, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter what size you are. You're beautiful. You can do whatever you want. I don't think Hollywood understands that's not the point. The point is, why can't we just have a leading plus size woman
Mm-hmm.
who
you
don't measure weight at all. Yeah, you don't measure it at all. And it's like, it's just from start to finish, she's just a woman. That's it. She's not a plus size woman. She's not, you know what, she's just a woman. So that's my complaint.
I definitely agree with you 100% because I was thinking as you were saying that a lot of I've seen a few movies, crappy movies mostly, but there's this one really good French foreign film. I think it's called Forte, where she's fat and like that is part of the storyline. She's a plus size girl, but she is like, people don't like me because I'm fat. People don't like I'm just a joke because I'm fat. And then in the end, she is like kind of she actually learns pole dancing. She like sort of she's embarrassed about like not about doing pole dancing because she's like, I'm fat, nobody wants to see me pole dance, but the pole dancing girls are like, no, it doesn't matter what you look like, it's about you having fun, and so like they kind of take her in, and then she becomes much more self-confident. So like, it's a pretty good movie actually. Katie Rooston turned me onto that one, and I watched it, and the captions kind of suck because you know it's in French, so I had to watch it subbed, and the captions were kind of crap. Or no, I watched it dubbed. And I had the captions on, and the captions were accurate. The dubbing was crap. That
sucks.
Yeah, the point is like the dubbing it to English or the making it in something that I could understand in English was crap. The translation was crap. Steve says he's taking notes. Is that for the booze stuff? Yeah. Lucky Charms and Bailey's. Dangerous. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, no, I totally agree that plus size girl having to be funny. Although as somebody who grew up kind of I was always like the chubby kid in school, and you either have to be funny and be you have to be amusing in some way to the fucking jackals that you go to school with, or you have to really learn how to disappear. And I learned how to disappear is what I did.
Yeah, and I totally understand that, you know, too. But
like, that's why there are so many funny chicks that are fat.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know.
I was thinking of two other movies. I was thinking of the movie I Feel Pretty with that Amy Schumer. Where she is not fat. I am so irritated by the fact that movie kind of casted her as chubby, and it's like she's not chubby. She's a regular sized woman. Fuck you. But then she smashes her head and she believes herself to be a super hot model, and so she like drastically improves her life, and then she smashes her head again and goes back to normal, and she's like, oh my god, it was me the whole time. Oh my god. And like it's like, duh, lady. It's like people were so weird around you.
Yeah, I was thinking of that movie too. I couldn't remember the title of it, but yeah, like movies like that where or like the my husband and I were just talking about this recently, where you have the ugly duck story, and but the chick that they're transforming into like a beauty queen,
she's all bad
to begin with. Yeah, those movies. Like they did this. Oh my god, she's a model. Yeah. Oh, she's fucking hideous. Like I like what the fuck?
Yeah, she's all that. The Princess Diaries. There's another one from the 80s. I can't remember. Love Potion number 9. Like fucking get the fuck out of here with that shit. Sandra Bullock was always a goddamn knockout.
Exactly. So like even as a kid, like I'm like I see through this shit. I'm like that's fucking bull.
Thank you. I was like that's even as a kid, me too. Thank you. And the movie The Hustle, fucking garbage movie, but the Australian girl, she's in the Pitch Perfect.
I know who you're talking about, but I forget her name too.
Rebel Wilson.
Yes.
She is in there with funnily enough, she's in there with Anne Hathaway, Princess Diaries.
Yep.
But I actually like she is comic relief in there, but she is also like very convinced that she's beautiful. Like she does not care that other people don't think that she's super sexy. She does acknowledge that whole people don't care unless you're a model thing. Which is interesting, but
And I was interested in that movie when I first saw the previews too, because I want these women to succeed, and especially Melissa McCarthy. There's a movie on Netflix called like The Starling, where she actually has like a dramatic role. I still have to watch it, but like I do think she's a genuinely funny person. But yeah, it's like, can we give her a chance to do something else than the funny fat chick, please? Like, come on. Like, it's again like Hollywood has to understand, like, look, we're giving women more opportunities for, being directors and producers now and blah blah blah, and more speaking roles in movies. But you have to include everyone. You have to include plus size, you have to include blacks and Hispanics and Asians, like every woman. And it's always just the skinny white chick,
And trans women. How many times has a man played a trans woman?
Exactly.
There are loads of trans women actresses out there. Pick one of them if you're like, at least let them audition, at least give them the first dibs on the role. If you if your movie is about a trans person, give trans people the opportunity to turn that down first. Like, come on.
Exactly. So anyway, I turned this conversation into something else.
We should do like a women in public, in media, mass media thing, like just women and people of color and LGBTQs, everybody. Like, why can't we be more inclusive? And we did do a little bit of inclusivity stuff, but we've got to do more for sure, because nobody talks about it unless you talk about it.
Exactly.
Anywho, yes, carrying on. Let's talk about Hocus Pocus more. There are so many good lines in this movie. Oh my god, there are so many good lines. The very first one, Thackeray calls Winifred a hag, and she goes, "Sisters, did you hear what he called you?" Like, yeah, that's, oh my god, it's just so funny, and like it's such a cheesy ass line, but also like, it just Bette Midler delivering it maybe is why I giggle every time. It's like, did you hear what he called you? It's like, that was such a stupid, like, obviously he was talking to you, but like the way she delivers it, and this is so good.
Like, her reaction when she like almost starts like crying and like it's like starts making those noises. It's like, it's the best.
My butt's like sliding out of my chair today. Like, I lift up and like bat down. So the mob comes and drags them outside to hang them, which, dark for a fucking Disney movie. They show the legs dangling and everything, and like they show them with nooses around their neck. And
Disney had a lot more balls back then too. So
it's true, they did. When they're Winifred is like calling her book and stuff, and she Sarah Jessica Parker, Sarah Sanderson, is just like, this is terribly uncomfortable. I was like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, like, I was surprised that they showed their feet dropping and they showed them dangling, and I was like, I did not, like, when you look at that, I didn't think anything of it as a kid when I watched it, but like now I'm like, wow, I can't believe they showed that. That's a little bit graphic. So
yeah.
Then that is after that point, I felt so bad for Banks. He was just trying to get his dad's attention, rubbing on his leg and stuff, and like, why would it's like, it's not his dad's fault, he would never have known, but like, he kind of like kicks him, he's like, get away, Banks. And I'm like,
I know,
come on, man.
I like called him an asshole like when I was little. I was like, what a jerk, he kicked the cat.
Yeah, don't kick the kitty. If nothing else, they're in like plague times. If nothing else, that cat would have been good for catching mice and rats that carry the plague. Come on. So then we get to we flash forward 300 years, and it's Halloween at the school, and holy fucking tie-dye on Max.
Yes.
Is that serious? Yes. I remember owning like one tie-dye thing in my whole life.
Really?
And I like, is that what, like, we were supposed to say, oh, he's from Hollywood because he's got all that tie-dye on? Is that what we were supposed to believe?
That's what don't you know that? That's what they wore like all the time, you know?
They still wear.
Yeah.
Tie-dye from head to toe.
Hey, man, tie-dye's back. Tie-dye is back, though. It's popular.
Well, now that we don't do like lame spirals and shit with it, like you can do some really cool stuff with tie-dye, and now that people are actually doing that, that's it's not that bad. Like I'm like, look at some of the. There's a lady that I follow on Facebook that does like, she does owls and cats and trees and shit. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
I think that her Facebook page is called Get Rich or Die Trying, and it's DYE.
Ah, that's cute.
Yeah, that's fun. Oh yeah, and she does some really cool stuff.
That's cool. My niece wanted me to tie-dye with her. Like, this is like months ago at this point. But like when I came over, she was like, Aunt Julie, I'm going to show you how this works, okay? And I was like, girl, I did this. Like,
oh, honey, I know more than you. Thanks.
I'm like, I got this. I think I'm good. I'm going to show you, what to do and how to make the spiral and how to make I'm like, I got this. It was so funny. I'm like, yeah.
Bless their little hearts. And they think that they're introducing you to something amazing.
Yep. Wow.
Oh yeah. When Allison like schools Max on the Halloween history, they fucking clap for her. Like, why are you clapping for her?
I don't know. I thought that was like
an awkward applause break there.
Yeah.
That wasn't that. I mean, because then Max immediately fucking gets up and says, well, if you see Jimi Hendrix, here's my number, give me a call. And I was like, that was a fucking badass flex there, man. And they clapped for her, but not him. Like, what the fuck? That was way more badass than what she did.
Yeah, it was.
That was ice cold, man, what he did.
No, I didn't believe that whole reaction, when I was younger too. I thought it was weird.
Yeah, like the teacher would have been like, thank you, Allison, but the class wouldn't have clapped. Even if they all thought he was a dweeb, which they didn't, because he just moved there. They said last week he had moved there, and he was probably one of his first days in the class there. They didn't know him. They didn't know anything about him. So fuck off with that shit. When Max rides home from school, the bullies, Ice and Shivan,
I forget.
The blonde hair, the blonde floppy hair, and then like the guy who was very clearly got the key, definitely should have been in jail probably. Like I'm like sitting there going, why? You are way older than everyone else in this movie. Why are you hanging out with these kids? You need to go to jail. Not collect $200. Like, what the fuck, man? And he his shoes, and then Max pedals back the rest of the way home, stomps up his stairs, tells his parents, why'd you make me move here? And then the mom's like, he wasn't wearing any shoes. And his fucking dad, this is how bad the parents were in the 90s. His dad's like, it must be some kind of protest. What the fuck? He had the good trainers. They were stealable shoes. Do you really think he would have just thrown them out? What the fuck? He went to school with shoes on, you dumbass. What kind of fucking asshole parent are you? Oh my God. Did you think that too? I was like, it must have been some kind of protest. What?
In the 90s though, I could totally see a parent saying that. So
still, oh my God. When Max is in the cemetery and they're harassing him, they wanted him to give him cigarettes, and he's like, I don't have any cigarettes. And they said, you got any money? And he's like, I don't have any money. And then Ice, the one that should be in jail, he goes, you don't have any cigarettes and you don't have any cash. What are we supposed to do for the rest of the afternoon? And Max goes, maybe you could try breathing through your nose. And I'm like, oh, that was another good one. Max is pretty good with his one-liners.
He is, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously that would have been something that would have got the shit kicked out of him if it were real. Like if those guys were actual bullies, not Disney bullies, they would have beat the shit out of him.
Yes.
They wouldn't have only taken his shoes. They would have totally taken his shoes too, but they would have taken his shoes, they would have taken his bike, and they would have beat the piss out of him.
Yes.
And they're just fucking. Did you notice like they were just laying on top of a mausoleum or one of those above ground cemetery crypt thingies? Like they were just laying there. Like what the fuck? They were just like laying in wait for somebody to come through the fucking cemetery. Like what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, see, that I find more believable.
Yeah, it's more believable than them, only stealing his shoes and not beating him up or taking his bike.
Yeah, because that's a generational thing too. Like, I don't see kids like hanging out anymore. Like, like I would hang out at like in the parking lot at a 7-Eleven for hours on end with my friends, when I was little, just chilling. And I don't see kids doing that anymore. I don't know what they do. So they're making their TikToks and shit.
They don't have to congregate anywhere because they have phones to communicate now. They don't have to stand around in person.
Yeah. You know what? That's a very good point. Probably. I mean, hanging out at the mall and just hanging out in a Barnes and Noble, like that was like my shit.
Like what's a mall?
Yeah.
I don't know what a mall is no more. Yeah, those fucking protests with the shoes. Oh, and then so then they get to like Max and Danny have a pretty average brother-sister relationship, I think. Like he's irritated by her because she's like annoying little kid, but like overall he's irritated by her, but he's still protective of her.
Yeah.
When they're trick-or-treating. Well, she's kind of a brat too, I think. That she was like if you were my little sister, I think I'd be irritated by you a lot more than he is because she's very bossy and that whole like he's like I'm not taking you trick-or-treating and she's like nah! And I'm like no. And then she gets what she fucking wants for throwing a tantrum. What?
I always thought she was a brat. I really hated her. Like even now, and when I was little, I thought she was so goddamn annoying. And I think when I was first watching the movie, I was hoping she was going to get her life sucked out of her. But yeah, she's not a brat. She's so annoying. She's not likable.
Yeah, no, she is. I mean, she kind of gets better, but like she is in his room where like that's the one place that he can be alone, and she's in there hiding so he doesn't even know she's there, and then she makes fun of him for thinking that he's alone, and then she has her little fit which gets her what she wants, which should never get the kid what they want. And then they're out trick-or-treating and he sees the bullies standing there blocking the path with the gate, and he's like, let's go this way, and she's like and like she stomps down and like no, he's in charge, you go where he says, like he's supposed to be keeping you safe, you need to listen to him. And she never listens to him. Like, throughout the whole movie she does not listen to him.
And she's like I think I forget if she even like says something like that, like, and she's like my big brother is going to beat you up or something like that.
No, you don't get to volunteer your brother for fists.
Yeah. This 500-pound man and versus your brother, like, thanks a lot, kid. Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. They get to Allison's parents' party. What that fucking weird powdered wig shit they do. And Allison's like, oh yeah, they do this every year.
Well, they're like, I mean, again, it's I don't know. But some like weird sex cult thing is like going on there.
Yeah, that's an Eyes Wide Shut thing for sure.
Oh, yeah. Tom Cruise is in the back there, whatever. Yeah.
For sure. Oh yeah, 100%. And so it's probably like what Allison did after like she went and changed her clothes and went out with Max and Danny, and that was probably safer than what she would have been exposed to had she stayed at the party.
Yeah, I think so. Totally.
Danny says she can't wear the dress that Allison's wearing because she doesn't have yabos. Now, I gotta ask you, as a 90s kid, did you ever hear anyone refer to boobs as yabos? Ever?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
This floppy part's bothering me.
I mean,
I've never. In that movie alone is the only place that I've ever heard anybody refer to boobs as yabos.
No, I don't know if that's I don't know, a regional thing, because that is, like hoagies versus subs, you know, versus footlongs. Like, that shit exists. Regional.
That was an LA thing.
Mate. I don't know. I've never heard that term before. Like, I just call them boobs. Like, that was it. That was the term. They're boobs. First grade through fucking, high school. They're boobs. They're tits. Like, that's it. That's all I know.
Yeah, like I mean, I've heard like people will call them other stuff, but not really. I mean, just boobs. Like, anybody who watches this, like if you're watching now or you watching later, tell us what you used to call boobs in 1993, because I'm curious.
I don't know, but
was ever a thing?
The music got really loud and it's creepy now.
It's like some kind of like New Orleans dirge for a funeral, isn't it? It's not like I just downloaded a bunch of shit. Oh, it's called Sad Drunken Party by Kevin MacLeod. I just downloaded a bunch of free shit because I didn't want any the copyright free shit. So
Sad Drunken Party. I do like the title though.
Yeah, and it did get really loud, didn't it? Maybe we'll turn it down a little bit. Maybe we'll just switch the song. I can't do it. Here we go. So, yeah. Yabos. Fucking yabos.
I'm gonna call them that now. Like the next time I'm like, grab my yabos, baby.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Sarah, how are your yabos hanging today?
My yabos are great. How are yours?
Unsupported currently.
Oh, mine too. I'm not gonna wear a bra when I'm just sitting down. Come on, fuck that shit. You boys out there, you don't even know. Like y'all should be surprised that I'm ever wearing pants when I'm doing these streams, but I am, because I might have to get up. You never know, I might have to get up, so I gotta wear pants, but I don't gotta wear a bra.
Nah.
I won't. I won't do it. Okay, so they get to the Sanderson house and Danny tries to pretend to be a witch to like fool the Sanderson sisters, and I thought that was like, well, that was clever, but it was never gonna work. But she really got it. Like, she was very good at being convincing. Like, she was trying to fit in and stuff. I was like, that was clever for a little girl. What is she, like 8 years old? And yeah, so like that was clever. I mean, the one redeeming feature of her otherwise bratty ass was that she was pretty clever.
Yes, I'll give her that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't remember what happened. Oh, they run out. That's when Binks reveals himself. He jumps on Max and he's like, "Grab the book!" And they're like, "Holy shit, a talking cat!" Yeah, no, let's go. Grab the book and let's go. And so all three of the Sanderson sisters, they run out into the doorway, and she tells Mary, I don't remember what Mary did to make her mad, but Winifred tells Mary, "I'll have your guts for garters, girl." And I'm like, such a fun sounding, but then when you actually, it's such a fun sounding quote, but then when you actually think about it, "I'll have your guts for garters." You're gonna wrap her intestines around your leg. That'd be very ineffective as garters. I'm just saying.
Well, you'd have to
really have to prepare them well.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to get like fish hooks, like in them to like support the actual hose,
Yeah.
It's gross. It would smell really bad, but if I had the opportunity, I'd give it a try, I guess.
Well, I have to assume that with all the rotting human parts that they had in their cottage, that they didn't really care about smell. So
that's a good point.
They jump out they go out to the street, and they're like, "It's a black river," and then they shove Sarah out there, and she's like, "Ah!" And like, "Oh, it's hard. We can walk on it." And then they're frightened off by the fire truck, I think. But then they get to the bus.
The bus.
And the bus, they climb onto the bus, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a free ride." We're just like, "Fucking no, you don't have to pay." And Mary says, "We desire children. Take us to children." And the fucking bus driver, you remember what he says? He goes, "It might take me a few tries, but I don't think that'll be a problem." Yeah. I was like, well, that was definitely one for the adults.
Oh my God. Yeah, that and like, there's a lot of adult humor in it.
There is.
Sarah's sitting on his lap, for Christ's sake, too. So.
And then farewell, little bus driver. And the one, Binks gets squished in the meantime by the bus and then just like back up. Like, yeah. Okay. Cool that he can do that. At one point, so after the bus thing, Max, Allison, and Danny run to a guy on a motorcycle that's dressed like a cop, and they try and tell him, we brought back the Sanderson sisters, like, why in God's name would you ever think that anybody was gonna believe you?
I know.
Why would you think that? That is such a stupid thing to think. Are you kidding me?
I don't know, by how passionate Allison's classmates reacted to her, standing up for the history. Maybe, he thought they would, but
yeah, but also they all were like dressed up and like obvious, thinking that it was just a party thing. So, a cyan. It's almost booby backwards, but they missed the mark for Yabos. Yeah, it is almost boobies backwards. Whatever. I don't know. Stupid Yabos is stupid. Excuse me. So, but yeah, like I'm thinking, like, why the fuck would they think that the cop was going to believe them? Nobody else believed them. Of course, well, that might have been the first person that they went to. The point is, nobody was ever going to believe them, and it was stupid of them to think that anybody would.
Yeah.
And then, they keep making a big deal, like, Danny is like, he's a virgin to the cop, and the cop's like, you're a virgin? And Max is like, yeah, I'll get it tattooed on my forehead. It's like, why is it such a big goddamn deal that he's a virgin? All three of those kids are fucking virgins, okay? Like, it's stupid. And it's good that Max doesn't make a big deal out of it. Like, he's not embarrassed or anything. He's like, yeah, duh. I'm fucking 15 years old. Of course I'm a virgin, you idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
Not, like, it's like, whatever. If you aren't a virgin at 15, I don't want to ask why, because that sounds like
yeah.
You had some unfortunate circumstances when you were younger. Like, it's just at 15, you should just be figuring out what sex is at 15. Like, you shouldn't be already have had it. You shouldn't be an experienced sex person at 15. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's
I'm not claiming to know anything about child psychology. It just seems like, of course, it's just like that. My point is like, of course he's a virgin. Allison's a virgin. Danny's a virgin. They're all virgins. Any one of them could have lit the candle, and you wouldn't even be making a deal of it if it had been one of the girls. But because it was a boy, and boys are supposed to get their rocks off as early as possible, and that makes them a mark of a man. Then they're like, oh my God, you're a virgin. And Max, luckily, thankfully, in the movie, I think that it's great because he's just like, it's not that big of a deal. Jesus, of course I'm a virgin. So that's good.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, yeah, you're right. That's why they think it's funny and make fun of them for it when, in reality, you really shouldn't. But yeah, I do like his reaction to it. Like, well, what the fuck,
I drank all my drink.
Oh no.
Sad face. Yeah, it's just, there's several points at which they like make a comment, like a derisive kind of sounding comment, like, you're a virgin. So fucking what? Of course he's a virgin. You're allowed to be a virgin. If you want to be a virgin, be a virgin.
Yeah.
If you don't want to have sex, don't do it. I mean, absolutely don't do it. And then like after the cop like kind of mocks him and there's like, get the hell out of here, you dumb kids. And then we find out he's not even a real cop. And it's like, bitch, impersonating a fucking police officer is a fucking crime. You can't do that even to kids. Like, what the fuck, man? If they had an actual problem, what was he gonna do? They had an actual problem that he believed. Like, if they were like some creepy dude is chasing us, that's what they should have just said, was like, these three crazy ladies are chasing us and we're scared. And then what would that guy have done? He wasn't a real cop.
But he still wouldn't have believed them because it's Halloween. And the guy's probably drunk off his ass anyway, so he believe in shit.
Like, impersonating a cop is a crime. Don't do it. And don't do it for the sake of the person who's asking you for help, too. Because, god damn it. What if those kids really needed help and they thought you were going to help them and you're not a real cop? Ugh. When the first time that they're in the cemetery, and they're flying over, the witches are flying above, and the kids and the cat are below, and she calls. Do you remember? Like, do you want to do the calling for the book? You know the book when she calls for her book, her grimoire.
No, you can do it.
Book, and it's fucking hilarious. Like, that's the most iconic. Whoa, was that a cat ass?
Yeah, I was gonna say you called my cat.
I'm good. I'm that good. Yeah, that's fun. And she does that like 2 or 3 times in the movie. It's fucking like, I just like, I don't know why, but it just makes me happy when she does that.
Yeah.
So they run to the party at City Hall to try and get the help from the parents. And the fucking mom is dressed in like 1990 Madonna cone boobs. It's amazing. And you see her so conservative in the beginning, when she's got like the shoulder or the chin length bob, and she's wearing a sweater, and she's all like, oh, he's not wearing any shoes, I'm a concerned mother, and then she's wearing a fucking Madonna cone tits. Like, wow. That's an amazing costume. And like, she pulled it off too. I mean, she looked good in it.
She did, yeah.
And the dad, who has absolutely zero sense of humor, is like, no, I'm Dadcula. And I'm like, where the fuck was that sense of humor before when the kids needed it?
Well, that's because he's probably like, a couple Bloody Marys in already at the party. So
he like clearly was in like, Danny is his little baby girl, and Max is the troublemaker. Like, he clearly favors Danny. In the little interaction that we see, he very clearly favors Danny, and it's irritating. After that, they run to the school, and they try to they've successfully trapped the witches in a whole fucking room that is a kiln. A whole fucking room. I have never seen a whole room be a kiln before. Have you? Like,
no, my school, we had one, but it was in a like a tiny, almost like a
cylinder.
Like, it was a like insulated like closet or something. But yeah, it was like tiny as shit, and we only had one of them.
Yeah, and well, I can see that room would have been the kiln room, and then there would have been actual kilns in there, but like, the whole room was the kiln, and they just closed it up and set the kiln to go. Like, if there were kilns in that room, and they were in, like, if you get locked in a kiln room, you can survive that shit. It would suck, but you would not die unless you had some kind of, pre-existing condition. It would suck. It would be hot and awful. But you would probably survive that, because the kilns, they don't run. I mean, they run for different lengths of time depending on what you're firing. But the whole room is not the kiln. That's my point. It's like, the whole room in this school is the kiln. The room is the kiln. But in actuality, the kiln room is a insulated room that houses kilns, and kilns are like big cylinders. Like, so like, they just like start on fire in this room here. It's like, that's not what a kiln room is.
No, I didn't.
Purposes of the movie, sure, but that's not what a kiln is.
No, it makes no sense at all.
No. I was like, that's such a nitpicky detail, but it annoyed me, and I had to mention it.
Yeah.
After they think that the witches are dead, they go back to Max and Danny's house, and their parents still aren't home, and they're like, oh, I guess they're still partying. Like, that's not weird. How old are you guys? Like, Danny's like 8 years old. They're going to be back by midnight. You should be worried. But whatever. They open the fucking book, and it's like, even in 1993, you cannot tell me that Max has never seen a fucking horror movie. You don't open the book. And the fucking talking cat that you know is imbued with magic, told you never to open the book. What the fuck are you doing? And the eyeball on it was open. Yeah. Like, no. If there's an eyeball on a book that opens up, and that was like definitely closed before, and now it's open, don't open the book. They had ample proof at this point that book was, in fact, actually very powerful magic. Why would they open it? Even to help things. Like Binks didn't want to be helped. They're helping him without his consent. Don't open the book. Have you never seen a fucking horror movie before, Max? Jesus. Oh God. Okay, so that's the point at which they come and they kidnap Danny. Why'd they take Binks? I don't remember why they took Binks. Like there was no reason to take him, but they put him in a bag and they took him.
I guess, I don't know, maybe they intended to get rid of the rest of his 9 lives or something so he wouldn't interfere. But I don't remember if they actually said.
Yeah, there was no reason to take him, but whatever. Yeah, so what else? But they did not take Allison or Max, which by by the events of the rest of the movie, Max was edible. they tried like he drank the potion and it made his soul consumable. So that would have stood to reason that Allison too would have been fine for that. I mean, sure, if they wanted maximum youth, they would want the smaller children, but the older children clearly, and whatever, but they go back to yeah.
The kid's also easier to handle too. So
fair, but they could control him because they had her. Like, I'll kill her if you don't do what I say, you know?
Yeah.
And they always do in the movies. They always, I'll do what you say, just don't hurt my little sister, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they go back to the cottage, the Sanderson cottage, and they have the whole new pot of stuff brewing because they've got the book back and they can remember. Oh, when she's trying to remember the potion by memory.
Yeah.
There was a point at which Winifred's like, okay, where were we all? Where were we all? You were over there, and then Sarah, you were back there dancing around like an idiot. And I'm like, this is so funny. I don't even know what my favorite quote is of this whole thing.
I know.
So funny. The whole thing is so funny. But yeah, so they make the whole new pot of potion, and Max tips it over again, right? And there's only one dose left. But they don't, and then they trick the witches into thinking that it's dawn when it's not dawn yet. They kind of allude to the fact that there's still an hour left before dawn, but it doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter. The kids so the kids escape. They run off. Winifred's like, oh, we only have enough for one. And then Mary's like, let's go find a child. There's all these children out here that Sarah lured with her song. And Winifred's like, no, I want that tow-headed brat, Danny. And she called me ugly. And I'm like, okay, I understand that you're angry with her, that you're upset with her for insulting you, but you're well aware that you're going to die when the sun comes up if you do not eat a child. So won't any child do? Why do you specifically you can get her later if you're not dead. So why are you not getting does it, like, it's movie logic, you know?
It is.
Movie logic. Like,
it's
if I were Winifred, I'd been like, you know what? Let's grab this one here that's at the door already and feed that one the potion. Then let's make a new pot of potion because now we'll have the time. And then let's go get Danny because we're going to kick Danny's ass for calling us ugly. But first, we need to not die at dawn. Yeah. Oh, no. At that point when they run out of the they get Danny and Banks and escape by tricking the witches into thinking it's dawn, and Ice and the blonde floppy kid, blonde floppy hair, they're hanging in those cages at this point, and Max grabs, they're like, Hollywood, help us, and of course he doesn't because fuck you, that's why, but he takes his shoes back. And I'm like, gross, bro. I would never wear those shoes. I would set those shoes on fire. I would never wear those again after they've been on that kid's skank feet. Like, he pulls them off and, like, the socks are grody and they have holes in them. It's like, I know he's only been wearing them for a few hours, but ew.
Oh no, you're right. No, I would have burned them, but still, I would have wanted them to know that I got them back, But then I'd like throw them I'd throw them in the fire. Yeah, no.
Like, yeah, nobody gets them now. Ha! Yeah, why? And then I was like, why would Winifred not just grab whatever child? Oh, the witches picked up that 20th century lingo real fucking quick, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, but
that dude. And then but when they're flying alongside the truck trying to stop them, they're like, pull over, I want to see your driver's license. And what do you know about driver's licenses? How'd they pick that up so quick? They've only been alive for a few hours.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the point that they get back to the cemetery, and Billy accosts them. He like confronts them and he scares them, but then he just wanted Max's knife to cut open the stitches on his lips, and then moths fly out.
Yes, I love that.
Doug Jones said, "No, man, those were real moths. They were not CGI. I put real moths in my mouth."
Yes.
Like, but also they could never have done such a good job with CGI ever.
Exactly. Or like if it was like done practically, like he had, I don't know, paper or something come out. But like that's why he's like so fucking awesome. But yeah, I remember that him saying I put real moths in my mouth. I mean,
Steve, go back and watch. Steve says real moths, dedication. Yeah, it is. But like, first of all, fucking Doug Jones deserves all the credit. Like, he should be so much more famous than he is. He is, like I said before, he is the most famous actor you've never heard of, and he should probably get paid more money than he gets paid, I'm sure. Yeah. And he's cool with doing shit like that. That's weird shit to do. And you go back and watch it, watch that scene closely. It's totally, you can absolutely tell. And it's like, whew, and I want to know, were any moths killed? Did he accidentally like eat a moth when he did this? I'm curious about that. Because like, sure, the moths were real, but did he kill them? Any of them?
One like actually fly down instead,
or like go up into his sinuses, and then he had to go to the ER to get one stuck from his nose or something. I'm curious. I want to know these things. Inquiring minds want to know. I mean the cut the stitches open thing. That was pretty good too, but like it was obviously the spitting out dust and moths. Like he clearly put real shit in his mouth, and you can, when you know it and then you look, you can tell. It's crazy. A science is several takes could have involved a few eaten moths. I think it's
true.
Sure, they didn't use like poison moths or anything, but also, like they. Would the ASPCA or like PETA get on their cases about eating moths, accidentally swallowed moths?
I'm sure. I mean, they're very strict from what I've read. So even things like that, even like ants, and there was so much, there was a lot involved in the movie Arachnophobia. They had to find the right spiders to use for that. And I'm 100% sure
they're probably on set for that.
Moths were okay.
Like they were probably on set because there was a cat and there were the moths and there was spiders getting eaten.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to assume that he ate at least one moth in that. I mean, he had to have eaten at least one, right?
I think so.
So yeah, like right then, Winifred doesn't burst in or doesn't turn to stone after she lands on the hallowed ground. She doesn't turn to stone until she is made aware of the fact that she's on hallowed ground. So it's like it was one of those Looney Tunes things where they run off the cliff and they're running in midair and they don't realize and fall until after they don't fall from midair until they realize that they're not standing on the ground anymore. I was like, that was very Looney Tunes.
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever, but then her body turns to stone, and I was like, that's a cool ass statue, and people are gonna wonder how that got there, and then she blows up anyway, so it's a little bit disappointing. Like, didn't stay, bummer.
Which is funny because if they were going to do a sequel, that would have been another easy way to, she comes back, is if she just remained a statue. Oh, that's fucking easy. You just have it crack and she's.
Yeah, like they'd be like, we don't know how the statue got here, and we're gonna move it now. We're gonna get it out of the cemetery because it's in our way. And they just take it off the hallowed ground, and suddenly she's no longer a statue.
Yeah, that's interesting. Or like it ends up in like a museum or something like that. A Salem museum, and whatever strikes at midnight, and somebody lights a candle, and like you could basically retell this whole movie over again. Just from another a new generation. I mean, when they remake this movie, they're going to be like making jokes about the witches using like smartphones, and like, God help me though, if like Mary does like a TikTok, like I'll probably shoot myself in the head, but it's going to happen, I'm sure.
You froze for a second. I didn't catch what you said.
I said, I hope none of them make like a TikTok video if they're going to like update, the movie for today's times. And the witches are like, freaking out about the newer technology.
Yeah, that's fair. Although it would be kind of fun to see. I mean, maybe. I don't know. If they do it right, maybe I'm okay with it.
See, that's my thing. You have to do it right. Like, I don't need to see Bette Midler trying to twerk either. So, I
might be willing to pay good money to see Bette Midler twerk. I'm not sure.
I do not know.
I mean, Sarah Jessica Parker is exactly as skinny as she was then, so she probably could make all the boys come to her yard with that. But again with that fat chick is not the sexy chick. Like, you can be the funny one and you can be the sexy one, but you can never be both.
You can't be both. Yeah.
Well, you can be the funny one if you're also the sexy one, I guess. You can't be the funny one if you're not also the sexy one. You have to be. If you're the funny one, then you have to be. Like, the sexy one can be the funny one as well, but the funny one can't always be the sexy one. Like, they never where there needs to be more movies where the plus size girl gets the guy and all that shit. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, and that's what Hollywood doesn't understand, is when you make it a point to point out that fact, like, oh, look, guys, she's a plus size woman, she got the guy. That's not the point that we as women are trying to make. It shouldn't matter. Or again, you talk about like sports movies, like, holy crap, look what we did, this girl wants to play football, haha. Like, she should already like be on the team, like, and her gender shouldn't even be pointed out at all. It should just be, she's on the team, that's it. Don't make a big deal out of it. And we're never going to be truly equal, and as women, men aren't going to really ever understand what that truly means to us and what we feel it would really be, or what it would really mean, or what it would look like.
It would be very easy for them to make a simple rom-com where a plus size girl gets the guy and it's never even brought up that she's plus size.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
Extremely easy to do. And they I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's out there. Maybe it'll be out there that exists, where the fat chick gets the guy and she they don't know, nobody ever mentions her size.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point, is when you make a big deal out of it, it loses all of its meaning.
Right.
And that's what most guys, and again, Hollywood, doesn't understand, or frankly, they just don't care. I'm sure, like, a lot of them just don't give a crap.
I mean, a lot of those guys, LA really is like Hollywood and California. Like, it really is a different world than the world that the rest of us live in. Same with New York too. Like, they're just totally different places than where most of us live. And excuse me. And they're not in touch with us as much as they should be. If they want to write a show or a movie about the real people in America, they're not doing it great. Like, if you watch British shows and British movies that are made there and don't have a lot of Hollywood influence, they do a much better job of not making it a big deal that a woman is a plus size girl or whatever.
Yes.
You know, they do a much better job.
I agree.
They don't make a big deal of it if the woman isn't drop dead gorgeous. They don't make a big deal of it if she's a little bit chubby. They don't make a big deal of it. It's not a big deal. So that's something that England does better. Among many things that they do worse. Like, for example, all food. Your food sucks, England. I'm sorry. I've been there. I've tasted it. It's bad. The coffee is not real coffee. You have to go to very specific places to get real coffee, and that made me so sad because I just assumed that I'd get real coffee when I was there, and I did not. I got real coffee one time. Even at places that are called coffee shops, like they have a place, I think it's called Costa, and it's like the Caribou coffees and the Starbuckses and the Dunkin' Donuts, and they don't have real coffee there. They say it's coffee, but it's not coffee. I was so mad. And then the one I went to this bed and breakfast, I stayed there, and it was run by Spaniards, and they had real coffee, and I took a sip of it, and I was like, oh my God. And then my friend that was with me was like, what? And I was like, this is real coffee. It's so good. And then they came over to ask if everything was okay. I was like, this coffee is so good. Can I have more coffee? And then I just kept going on and on about the coffee. I was like, I probably freaked them out. Fucking Americans. God. Didn't understand. I had been like 10 days without real coffee. So.
Okay.
Yeah. The end of the movie, like it's just they bust out of the city hall party, and they're just like, that was some party. I thought LA was a party town. And like, so made me think like Salem must be more conservative, but yet you wore a Madonna cone tits bustier and undie, like, what are those pants called? Spanky pants, you know, the
spanky pants.
Booty shorts, what are they called?
Booty shorts. Yeah, you can call them booty shorts.
And she had like fishnets and thigh-high boots on. And it's like, you thought that this wasn't a party town, but you wore that?
Well, she's allowed to.
Her. She pulled it, like I said, she pulled it the fuck off. But not something I would have expected from her based on what little interaction we had from her in the beginning of the movie, though. So,
yeah.
So, do you have any other thoughts? Favorite quote, favorite scene?
Not really. I mean, like you said, there's so many good quotes in this movie.
So many.
And I mean, I went on my rant, so I'm good.
There were so many good quotes. And there was you know, like I don't know, like boo, like that might be my favorite one. But then they also the fucking bus driver, who is one of the least consequential characters in the whole fucking movie. But him saying that it might take me a few tries, but I'm sure we'll get there, when she says we desire children.
And they're so what is it? Oh, Spirit Halloween, like the last like 2 or 3 years, when like Hocus Pocus kind of exploded back into like popular scene again. They have so many so much merch now for Hocus Pocus, and like even the quotes are so popular that the quotes are on the merchandise. And they had like a cup, I think, that had like amok like written on it, from Sarah Jessica Parker saying that. And I mean, again, like I'm wearing makeup that ColourPop produced for Hocus Pocus, like the collab with Disney. And like, you know, I feel odd about it because I want them to know that I love this movie and I want to give them money, but at the same time, I'm like, you're exploiting my, you know, childhood nostalgia. So
yeah. But it's also nice to have the new generation get interested in it, because then you feel like the things that we grew up with are still relevant and we aren't dinosaurs.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's fucked up shit that we grew up, like the fucked up movies that we had as kids. Like, yay, people still like them, and maybe we can go back to making child-friendly shows that have a little more provocative stuff in them. Maybe.
Yeah, and that's
Little
what
kids can handle it.
yeah, and that's what I am really enjoying exploring with my niece and my nephew. Like my niece loves Nightmare Before Christmas,
Oh,
and
cool.
you know when that first came out, same thing. That wasn't really a big hit, and now all of a sudden, the last 5 to 10 years, even, it's just exploded back into pop culture, and she loves it. She loves Sally to death, and again, it's like this weird, like, no, you can't have it. That's my childhood. That's what I had.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like how I feel with just nerd culture in general being so popular now. And like, no, this is my thing, you know, and the popular people are taking it over. But yeah,
Yeah.
at the same time, I have something that really meant a lot to me that I can share with my niece and nephew. My nephew is watching, like, he watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre with me. He watched Christine.
How
He
old is
watched,
your nephew?
he's 13 now.
Oh, okay.
He's, you know,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is very
yes,
grown up.
I made sure that, you know, the age was, you know, good. And my sister's like, she's like, yeah, he can watch whatever he wants. I don't care, you know. But it's like it's so much fun though to explore those things now with
Yeah.
the younger generation and just basically prove that everything that came out before was so much better than the shit that there is now. So
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the hope that by all this stuff having that resurgence, that maybe we'll get some good stuff again.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
maybe if you like, I'm not saying that I don't want them to make a sequel, because the sequel actually sounds like maybe it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Whereas many times you just are like, no, don't do that, because you're not ruining the original story. There's times where they make a sequel and it ruins the original story,
Mhm.
but they're not going to ruin the original story, because the end of the story of this movie is the grimoire eye opens, and we're like, oh shit, maybe that's not over, So
Yeah.
they
And
left it open specifically for that.
yeah, and especially to have the three main characters come back and be the same actresses, and
Yeah.
for Bette Midler to say that this was like the most fun she's ever had, you
Mhm.
know she cares so deeply about this movie that
Mhm.
that's what makes me have faith in a sequel, is her being directly involved with it. So I really think it'll, whenever the fuck it gets made, if it gets made, I really hope it does.
It's supposed to come out in 2022. I have my doubts, considering how far they are along in production and the fact that it's very nearly the end of 2021.
Exactly. So I have a feeling it's going to get
Trust that
pushed.
it will happen.
Yeah, I think it will. I think it's just, I don't think it's going to be next year, but regardless, again, that just her having direct involvement with it, I am more on board for a sequel than I usually would be for, you know, something like this.
Absolutely. I agree completely. I hope that it comes, and I hope that it's everything that we ever wanted it to be, and I hope that they don't back off of the kind of graphic shit,
Yeah.
like the hints of graphic shit, because that is one of the reasons why it's so memorable. It's like, holy
Yeah.
shit, you see their dangling feet in there, and holy shit, they, made a sex joke in there, and holy shit, I mean, well, Gary and Penny Marshall aren't going to be in there, because I'm pretty sure Gary is dead, and maybe Penny Marshall's dead too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gary Marshall, but he didn't have a great big part in there, but he did have a part in there as he plays Satan.
Yes.
For anybody who wasn't, he was the guy who was dressed up as Satan, and Penny Marshall weirdly is his sister, but played his wife in that movie, and then sicked the little tiny dog on him, on the women, on the witches. Yeah, so that's Hocus Pocus, I guess, and I love this movie. I intend to watch it again, probably many, many times before I die.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite Halloweeny movies.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I'll probably go watch it again this week. So it was fun. It's a good movie. And I'm sure that I missed a bunch of stuff that I wish that I'm gonna be pissed about when I realize that I forgot to mention it. I'm gonna be pissed about it, You know how it goes, right? But overall, yeah, good movie. I like it. Anybody who hasn't watched it, I surely encourage them to do so.
Yes.
Because it's like like that one critic that I read said it was like it makes no sense, but it is irresistible.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
So much fun. I fucking love the movie. Just absolutely love it. Next week. What are we doing next week?
I don't know.
We are traveling to the fucking, I gotta get back to my, there it is. Next week, we are going to have a little Miss Medusa sneaky peeky. A freaky sneaky peeky. So yeah, we're gonna do a little, Miss Medusa is gonna launch 18th, 19th. It's gonna be in like 2 weeks. That's gonna be the Kickstarter's gonna launch for that. And we're going to do a little sneak peek. I do believe we're going to have Matt Frank and Paul Hanley are going to be on to talk with us about it. Hopefully Paul's internet will hold up and we can, actually talk to him instead of just having like random blips of his voice popping in and out, because that's how it was last time. Now that I remember that, I'll have to do the thing I was going to have a little idea for how to kind of go around the internet problem, so we'll have to make sure that works before next week. But that's gonna be that. So next week, tune in for our episode, our Miss Medusa sneak peek, freaky sneak peek. That's a lot to say, like Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menageries freaky sneaky peeky.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful. So okay, so yeah, that's like we're done, right, man? We're done. Unless you have any final thoughts, we're done.
Nope, I'm going to bed.
I'm gonna go get more cider because this is really good cider. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Julie, for coming and having another chat with affectionately criticizing the movie. We don't do a lot of criticizing, do we? We should do more criticizing. We do more of a remember this part? It was really fucking funny. Astian says, thanks for the stream. Have a good night, you two. Thank you for coming. Yeah, well, everybody, I hope everybody who watches this not live is gonna tell us what their word for yabos was, because I'm curious. I don't know. So yeah, have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week and stay super.